welcome to Truth Tuesday. This is actually the second time we're starting because I didn't hit the go live button, but I'm glad I saw it right away.
Your fault this time.
Yeah, was it last week that we did like an entire show over with you, and then you're like, I didn't hit it, and yeah, but it's good to see you.
Oh, did you just freeze? Are you faking it?
Got to do it at least once. Well, who's that guy? Move you. All right. This is the AI me that takes over. It's not really me. But, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. I can now.
All right. First half's over on Lisa's channel. You can check it out. We had a nice talk about a lot of things that are going on.
We have more information about the Congress being arrested.
I don't think that's.
I do.
You do? Well, is this what you want to show right here?
So you can show, what are you showing?
That's this
so,
one.
Okay, that just happened. Then, so they adjourn on October 1st. And what's the other thing? Then there's this. Okay, they could be arrested after they're adjourned October 1st. So then this is where the Constitution says senators and representatives shall receive compensation for services to be ascertained by law and paid out in the Treasury of the United States. They shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace be privileged from arrest. So except for treason, felony, and breach of peace be privileged from arrest. So if they're convicted of treason or felonies and breach of the peace, they could be arrested during even session. Mm-hmm. Interesting. And I'm going.
And if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon.
What are you talking about?
Scotty says it's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. The only time someone would enter and make them accountable, like Rhodes says, if they have rope with them. That's it. That's why the world changed when people went in and did some vandalism. That's why everything freaked out, and all of our government buildings, ours, are surrounded by high fences, concertina wire.
Well, it's the J6 thing. I mean, Pelosi admitted herself that she was responsible for. That is breach of the peace.
Yeah, then
she's responsible for that.
And
he's
nothing's happening about it.
National Guard to stand down. Well, we don't know that.
No, she said that she turned him down. She said it's my fault. I mean, what do you? The president's son was weighing his crack with video evidence.
Well, FTX girl just got her sentencing. I mean, things take time. The wheels of justice turn slowly.
No, they don't.
Yes,
when something is important, people get arrested. They don't have a conference when you put your hand up a woman's shirt into her bra and grab her boobie, then admit to it. The police don't hold a press conference and say, arrest isn't out of the question. No, they let you retire and step down as governor, and then you make money going on news outlets. That's what happens. It takes time. No, doesn't take time. Doesn't take time. Once you talk about doing something bad to a sitting president, do it on YouTube. I bet someone will knock on your door within a couple of hours or days at the minimum. Doesn't take time. Nothing's going to happen except from we the people, because you can't with one voice say, "Oh, the DOJ is weaponized and blah blah blah," and this is and the FBI is weaponized and controlled, and they covered up this and they covered up that, but they're the ones who are going to supposedly be arresting people.
I'm not saying that they are.
Nothing's going to happen until it, the people stand up. That's just what I think. Period. Because nothing
Like,
has happened. Um,
last time I was in court, there was a Space Force flag in the courtroom, so I think things are different.
well, there should be because Space Force is they took over, and that's something people don't talk about. They've taken over so much of the duties of the Air Force.
When Trump was in, he did the NDAA and changed everything. That was the largest transfer of power in the military.
Yeah, since forever, it is definitely.
Mhm.
And they didn't do much of anything. I mean, there were so many
I believe they
cons
did.
and things that were going to happen, and he's really the president, and he's coming back, and none of that happened. End of the month, this not doesn't happen. But something that is real is this, which this article that you have brought up. U.S. Capitol hit by a large-scale dark web cyber attack. Password leaked through staffers signing up for adult websites
Mhm.
and dating apps. This is a key. This is something that I think is a big deal. We're talking about awakening and people, seeing things as they are. And now it kind of changes you, like we talked about over on your channel. Like watching the Ellen show when you know what they're talking about. It's very troubling. But Candace Owens, um, she said it. Uh, I think Russell Brand and one or two other people that, because we concentrate on the perverts. Hollywood is a bunch of perverts, and Epstein. These people were perverts, and blah blah blah. And that's not it at all. That's the distraction. What and if you take this is like a big deal for me last night. If you take a step back and you look at the whole picture, pornography is not, and all of this stuff is not about perversions or perverts.
It's a
Everything,
control mechanism. It's the way they
everything,
blackmail them.
exactly. Everything with pornography is to mess with your mind. If you're just on the regular guy, but it's to obtain uh, intel on people and to then blackmail and control them.
Yes, I
Um,
agree.
Even you can have a regular person who's not a complete pervert. You get them drunk, give them money, and then put them in a situation where normally they wouldn't. But now I'm gonna cheat on my wife with this girl, and then afterwards, like, oh, by the way, she was a very old-looking 15-year-old senator. So guess what? Now you work for us. Um, and then once you cross that line and you start doing stuff, you probably spiral out of control and hate yourself. Um, but everyone is starting to say that the whole porn industry. So we shouldn't even be talking about this fast in the stream, but it is designed to screw with men's heads to make, and a lot of psychological stuff is
Mhm.
bad, but the main reason for it. Now, here's something that I bet you didn't know. Over 90% of all of the porn industry, movies, websites, the porn industry, is owned by who?
I have no idea.
Israel and rabbis.
Really?
Over 90%.
Oh my gosh, that is the second time that he's either lost Wi-Fi or his computer's gone out. So he'll be back though. He was back last time.
You know what? I don't usually say that
You don't usually lose your Wi-Fi,
that
so
was,
yeah.
yeah. So it is. I learned that the other day. Over
So is
90%.
that public knowledge?
That is public knowledge
Like
because a lot
they're
of the companies
publicly held?
are public. Yeah. So that's the question is, why does a rabbi own, you know all these porn companies? Um, it's but I think that hasn't hit like the mainstream yet. But the it's all about intel gathering. It's all about, there's uh, Alex Jones said that there's like 20 islands. Epstein was one. And if you think, I mean, it's like this has been their main bread and butter. It's the easiest way to to own someone, to get someone. Um,
Mhm.
is through this, so it's not like they're going to stop, or it's not like they only had one place. Um, so they have. I'm sure they have this stuff going on many places. There's many islands. Um, that's but when people wake up, and if they turn away from that, that's one of the reasons why you got to break down all religions, because it's you know if you have something else to turn to, or something else to give you strength to not engage in it, uh, it makes their job even harder. Um,
Well, in Uncle Cliff's data, there's something coming that has to do with time or pointing to time or something, and like aliens or something, and it's supposed to like break apart or discredit like the religions. Um, and I don't know what it doesn't say what that is or how that's going to play out, but I think that could be interesting. I didn't know if it would come around we're about to do the time change, the fallback thing.
didn't we
Will
do it
be
already?
November 3rd. Um, and so I didn't know if it would come around that time. And then that leads up to the vote, I guess, November 4th, 5th. But I don't know.
I'm 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 interested on the vote. I'm I'm very interested in what happens that day. Um, I think it'll be pretty historic.
If
Something's
we
going to happen.
Yeah, if we get that close to it, if the bad guys are
Which
still
I wanted to.
around. This was more information about the hack. So I just scrolled up to share if people wanted more details about it.
It was just it's very interesting. I mean, what the Mossad just did with the beeper thing uh, is probably like the biggest clandestine uh, intelligence, or even like military event it could be like in history. I mean, it was it was crazy.
Well,
You know,
and they're hitting hard. I mean, they did the beeper thing, then they're bombing Lebanon like straight up.
and that's actually leads me into the next thing. And I said over on your channel that and someone asked, and people started to ask the question, who's running the government? When they realized Joe Biden wasn't, they're like,
Mhm.
look, the cognitive decline, blah blah blah. Who's in control? It's actually scary. Um, and people don't think that Kamala is in control. So, but it's like you talked about over there, like we talked about, people knew stuff already, but then it's proven. Like you have to, you can stick your head in the sand, but when the tide comes in, you've got to pull your head out of the sand, or you're going to drown and die. So a lot of people are like, the debate forced people to take their head out of the sand.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we all saw the same thing, we all knew the same thing. But if you're watching CNN or MSNBC or any of those, they're saying, "Oh, he's the sharpest he's ever been." I think, and I don't understand why the I watched this episode of Columbo the other night, and the FAA was, Johnny Cash was in it, and he killed his wife and this other woman by jumping out of a plane, crashed the plane, and then went to the crash and act like he got thrown out. And the FAA was there doing this big investigation, and the the SEC were very felt well versed in. We just talked about the hearings over on your channel before this, but I remember TV stations, radio stations being scared shitless of,
Mhm.
they would always like, oh, well, the SEC will come
Don't
after
say
us.
a bad word because
We'll
we'll get
get
hit by
fined
the.
like $100,000 for every cuss word you say, and they could shut down, our because you have to have a license. They could pull the license and they could shut down any TV station. I don't understand why there's there's no mention of them anymore. Ever since the media was taken over by this small amount of companies, there's never a mention about them. They're never in the news coming down on anybody. You know, after the debate thing, there should be some kind of investigation. There should be some kind of penalty, and that's the thing. There's no penalties anymore. Um, yeah, I think it's another thing. There's like the alien thing. They're feeding it so like slowly for the past
Mhm.
couple of years, to where when it's just like, oh, this is you know Bebop from Zorgon. Uh, he's an ambassador here. People will be like, oh yeah, we know it's cool. It's not going to be like a shock anymore. Um, what were I lost my train of thought with the aliens thing. Um,
We're talking about l- uh, the Israelis owned all the porn.
oh yeah, well that's yeah they do. And like I said, I think people are waking up to how
Who really
dangerous it
runs
is.
the
Yeah,
government and whatever.
it's like when gas stations were selling that fake marijuana, and then it was like potpourri as potpourri. But then people were like dying from it, and everybody realized how bad it was. They stopped buying it. Um,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
it was supposed sold as potpourri, but it it was like marijuana, but it was chemicals and stuff. So it messed people up. Um, oh yeah, you sent the thing over about you sent that thing to me about how Russia just bring that up. How Russia brought
Oh,
uh,
the
one of our
astro.
astronauts back home, yeah, that we abandoned up there in space.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a sec.
Which I saw. I don't know her name.
Just
She's
tell them.
she's a British chick, but she was talking about how they.
And there's Sean gone again, but he'll be back. So it says, why didn't the Western media cover this story yesterday? Um, American astronaut Tracy Dyson, who was abandoned by NASA, was safely returned, which this fact checker says she was not abandoned. She was launched in that, and she was always supposed to return in the Russian, which I think it's strange that we're like using the Russian stuff.
Well, I mean, like should look into that and then see if the notes are right or whether that's right. But I can
Mhm.
tell you that the British astronauts were sent to the space station, um, and it was a 2 week mission. They were supposed to come back in 2 weeks. That's all documented. But Britain said we can't do it. You're going to be there till 2025.
Oh my
So from
God.
2 weeks to like months. Um, and she's a blonde, skinny woman. She's British. She's very mouthy. Um, but she's anyway. It was her. She was doing a walk. She's like, you know, Britain's so screwed up. She goes, people ask me how screwed up is it, and she's like, this is how screwed up things are. You know, we don't have money to bring these astronauts home. We say 2025, um, and you know we're taking in millions of people. You know, we have we have a government that tells us we have a housing shortage and a housing crisis. So let's take 30 million people back into our country.
Right.
It just, I mean, people are realizing that it's pure stupidity of government. I was talking to my friend last night, and he lives in Austin. I was like, you know, Austin is like the perfect example of how bad government is. You have, because he was talking about the police and how like people don't like the police in Austin. They don't trust them. They think they're trigger happy.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know, so the big thing is that the city council and the prosecutor said pot is legal. Like we're not going to prosecute. So police don't arrest uh, anyone or give them a ticket. And the police chief said, no, that's not the law. The law says it's illegal. So if someone's on 6th Street smoking weed, we're going to arrest them. And the city said, well, we're not going to prosecute them, and we're going to drop the charges. And the police chief said, okay. So they arrest people, they take them and fingerprint them and do all that, and then the next day the charges are dropped. So all that money is just wasted.
Waste.
The police time from the cop taking them in and doing all that. He's not out there. They're not out there, patrolling or doing their job. And that's just like the tip. But Austin is just so messed up with the local government, the police, and then the state government. It's just so messed up. But it shows how messed up government in general can be. Um,
Well,
and
and so I heard somebody talking the other day, and they were saying, like, with these migrants coming in and flooding these towns, and they're, overrun, their services can't handle the number of people and all that. They're like, it's not that's not the scary part. The scary part is if there were to be a government shutdown and when these services are um, through and run through, that's the scary part, because then these people are there and they don't have services for them, and they don't have, and that's when they're going to start coming after your stuff.
yeah, yeah,
um,
and
that's
that's
when they're going to start, raiding the stores and coming to your house and
well. If
whatever.
you look and see this stuff, you sent me the thing about Philadelphia. But if you look at
Yeah.
in Europe, they're like it's fallen. It's God. Um, Lee from Kiffs, he went back home to Ireland, and he was like, it was a different place. He said he went to Dublin, and I said Dublin was like it looked like San Francisco, man. There was like tents all along. He goes, yeah, it's insane, dude. They're it's not the same place. Um, which in Europe, a lot of Europe is kind of waking up to it, but it's maybe I think it's too late. Like unless it's like you have to go you went so far in one direction that to repair it or get back to where you were, you have to go so far in the opposite direction that it's like bad, you know. Um, which some countries are doing. They're blowing up mosques. Like I mean, like Switzerland or I think it was Belgium. They blew up two
Yeah.
mosques, which under the law, I mean, they're like they could, I guess, whatever. We have the RICO Act, and um, they said that they were like terrorist cells working in this mosque, so blow up the mosque. Um, but yeah, it's and we're almost at that point now. We're starting to see certain cities, and that's another thing. They're bringing in, just from a statistical number, uh, like a town of 30,000, they're bringing in 15,000 or
Right.
20,000, and it's
Yeah.
like this place is, grown to that 30,000 over 50 years. You know,
Mhm.
um, you can look at any of the towns. This was a stop on the railroad, or however the town started. It's taken, decades for it to grow to this, and to be able to function as a town. Have enough, said services, grocery stores. One gas station is more than enough for these people. There's two 7-Elevens, whatever. It's slowly made it. We finally got a Starbucks in our town. We finally got a, McDonald's. That's like a real thing that
Mhm.
small towns go through. Um, and to have the growth, like literally 30 years of growth overnight, there's
Explode. Yeah.
nothing in that town. I don't care what town it is. There's nothing that is able to support that. You can't double it, you know. Um,
Mhm.
just like if you cut it in half, then a lot of the businesses are going to die. They're going
Well,
to,
yeah.
it's the
Mhm.
exact same thing. Um, so that's another thing. It's like, I think it was FDR said, or it was FDR or Eisenhower said that nothing in politics happens by accident or by mistake. Um, so, like, I don't think Kamala is stupid. I do think she's a drunk, but I think, and I was this Weinstein, the physicist, he talked about this, and he's like, it was really funny how he did it, but he's like, is the Undertaker in the WWE a real Undertaker? Does he work in a mortuary? Is who's Triple H? Is the Hulkster? Is that who he is? You know, was the Iron Sheik a real Sheik? He's like, they're characters, man. They're characters that people play, and that like opened my mind up, man. I'm like, oh, so if we're living in a movie, then a lot of the people that are playing along with it, they are actors. That's
Straight from central casting.
AOC. All those are
All straight.
those are characters. You know, um,
Mhm.
Kamala
They're
is
all compromised.
it's a
Yeah.
character. It's a character. Um, I mean, she could probably talk like this and be like, you don't know, and the
Well,
whole other thing is an act.
if you think about them going and doing all those, they recently had that, I don't know if it was a Project Veritas, but some, whistleblower video or whatever, where they saw them writing legislation with the big corporations, and the corporations got a vote, and the Congress people
Yeah,
got votes. And then they go into Congress and they pretend to vote on these bills when it's already been decided. It's been written by the
yeah, it's written
corporations
by
or
corporations.
the
Yeah,
lobbyists, and that have already paid everybody. It's all pay to play. It came out today, I think, um, that Pelosi's husband, 3 months before Visa got nailed, sanctioned for that thing for the overcharges for
mhm.
their people or whatever. Pelosi's husband sold all his Visa stock, well, because they knew they were gonna get nailed for it.
Yeah.
So, like, they all have the inside scoop. They
Mhm.
all get the, pay to play. They're patting each other's back and have each hands in each other's pockets, and then we, the people, pay the price for all of
But
it.
we all know that it's common knowledge. Martha Stewart went to prison for less than what Pelosi has
Right.
admitted to doing. So
Right.
that's the thing I talk about. Nothing happens to them. It's not going to happen to them. In fact, we're so Stockholm syndromed that there's apps now that allow you to copy trade her trades and other.
That's so insane.
That is how
That
messed
is
up
so
we
insane.
are. And it's there. There's tons of ads for them on YouTube. It's a and they act like it's a good thing. It's
Mhm.
like, hey, you can get rich just like them. Because all of their stuff is has to be public what they're invested in, and it's so crazy. They should be arrested. It's obviously against the law. Technically, whoever if you use the app, you're
But that's
an
kinda like the
accomplice.
alien thing or the Area 51 thing like you were saying before. If they say it publicly enough, then people will just go, "Yeah, we know that."
Yeah,
And so you don't sound stupid. "No, we all know that," but
it's it's
nothing's done about it.
it's literally like Trump when he
Point.
said the system is rigged and it's pay. You pay to play, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and Hillary, all the other people were just, oh my, I'm clutching my pearls. Why would you say that? He's like, oh, because I played the system and I did it.
Mhm.
It's set up so that I can legally do that. Didn't I give you $100,000 for your campaign? A few years ago for Bill, and that was such a eye opening thing. That's one of the. I think that was like the biggest. That was when stuff turned for him when he was like, "Yeah, I'm using the system. It's so terribly illegal and bad." Um,
That's why they didn't wanna release his they asked for his, taxes, and then they didn't release them to the public because they don't want the public to know what the game is.
yeah,
They want it to be their game.
yeah, um, and it is. It
'Cause
is.
then we
People
can
are
all do it.
scrambling to. Oh, let me follow that congressman. It's not that they're. It's a crime, but it's like, hey, let me get in on that, and that's just a bad thing for I think
But Trump's been
humanity.
saying some state national stuff lately. Like last night, he also said, he goes, "I almost said state of Pennsylvania, but I caught myself." He goes, I just said Pennsylvania, and I said that would be good for your Commonwealth."
Yeah,
And so he's talking state national stuff. And what else did he say? And he keeps saying everything. He said we need a system of meritocracy, and he said that we have to be fair with each other and something else. And I can't remember the rest. There's been several things lately. And then, he paid in, uh, what was it called? He paid in Bitcoin the other night for
yeah. That
dinner.
was he actually used it to pay for dinner. That was cool.
That was cool. Some other stuff. There's been several things lately. So I don't know. I'm always hopeful, Queen of Hopium. Um, I think things can change, and I I hope that things can get
Elon
better.
was making this point, and he made a post, another one where it was actually the Joker, this scene from the Joker, um, where because he's a disturbed individual, and he's watching the TV, and De Niro, the late night host, is talking about stuff, and that's when he gets radicalized to start killing people, and he was comparing that scene to like Trump and what's been happening with him. I think
Did
I
Trump say we're going to Mars?
no, I don't know.
Elon said that.
No,
If Trump said that, I will be very excited because that could mean that the EMP comes and then we all use Starlink
we're going to Mars. They're eating the dogs.
and we'll
They're
get our
eating
new
the
phone.
cats. They're eating the cats. Eat the cats. And you ever heard that song?
No.
No. Yeah, and you know, well, like it's really the last thing, but I think it's really funny that a week ago or so there were memes being put out that first it'll be they're not eating dogs and cats, and then it'll be why do you care if they're eating dogs and cats? and then a week, 2 weeks later, it's you're racist if you don't let them eat the dogs and cats, and it's literally happening. There's a lot of articles I've seen that are it's bigoted and racist. We eat
Not
our
when you see them doing it, they're
we
cutting their neck while they're live and sucking their blood out because it's like a voodoo thing. I think they're getting ready to show
it's a
them the
voodoo thing,
party.
yeah, it's a voodoo thing. But
It's
it's
like a
like
song.
they're not stealing people's cats. They're just out, so they don't know just where they're from. A wild cat is there, and you eat it, and
No,
it's really really good.
that's not what they're
But
doing.
now, like you know, they're saying that the fact that they take like ducks from the city park, which they're protected here. If you fuck with a duck, you go to jail. Um, but if you take a duck from the city park and then kill it and eat it, it's no different than you going to the grocery store and buying chicken. If you think any different, you're racist. I did see like 2 articles that said that. So it's funny that like memes are real life because it was like a joke, 2 3 weeks ago. Um, Jim loves the song. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cats. Eat the cats. So there's a link there. You can check it out. Going to Mars and Australia. Australia's another bad one. It's you can see what's coming by looking at Australia, and they admit it. That's a weird thing. Like there's so many people there. Like, man, this is like crazy what they're doing. Um, all right, well, I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
It was good seeing everyone.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Make sure you hit the like.
Yes, please hit the like button. We will see you guys next week. You can see us. Are you going to be on Pro Blockchain Roundtable on Thursday?
I won't. We have a big hospital week. We're going to be in the hospital for 2 days for Cannon this week.
Okay. I'm glad I
2 days.
didn't in. All right, you
Yeah.
guys. See you later. Love y'all.